Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, I'm happy to review the Mafex Batman v Superman Armored Batman figure. You guys know that the Batman figure was not too bad. Maybe the best BvS Batman figure to date, despite its flaws. Superman was pretty much a dud. This figure stands to be the best because the armor design is already awesome. It's a really great design for Batman, I love it. And they have an opportunity to kind of continue on with what they did with Batman, hide some joints, make him work a little bit better because of all the armor. So hopefully it's really good. So we're going to get it off the stand and take a closer look. All right, this guy stands just about 6 3/4 inches tall, which makes him just about 17 centimeters. So he has some size to him. That's a good thing. He's got some bulk to him. That's a good thing. First impressions, he looks pretty good. If you ignore the cape. The cape is terrible. It's horrible, horrible, terrible, bad, nasty, disgusting in every way. This is a terrible design. I don't know what they were thinking. The rest of the figure without the cape, maybe an 8 out of 10. If I did ratings like that, it would get a pretty high score. And we're going to go through it all so you can see everything. But I have to point out right off the bat, this cape is terrible. It looks like stonewashed denim. It's not anywhere near what it's supposed to be. It's very gray and very, very black and white, technically. Little stonewashed denim look going on. And there's a huge seam on either side because they put the wire in there, which the wire works pretty well. I like that. But it sticks out the bottom, so that's no good. And obviously there's a huge seam. If they had made it 2-ply and it was this color all the way through, I would give it a little bit more credit. But this color is still very much stonewashed denim and not what it's supposed to be. Yes, he's supposed to have a heavier, kind of more textured cape when he's in the armor, but it is not meant to look like this. And then the bottom does not look like it's just tattered. It looks like they just didn't hem it. They didn't make the cape properly. So this is ugly. It really detracts from the figure. Luckily, the rest of the figure looks pretty good. There are a couple issues we'll have to talk about, but for the most part, I almost want to say it makes up for the terrible cape. So before we get into that, let's look at the accessories. We have the 2 fist hands that come on him in the package, 2 gripping hands, and 2 style pose hands. Not the most variety, but probably enough. And then we have the grapnel gun. That's it. We don't have any more accessories, so hopefully you bought the Batman also, and you can use the gun that he came with there. I think he also came with a grenade or something like that. You can check my review if you haven't seen it. It did come with more stuff for sure. And he comes with the display stand, but that's it. Not a whole lot going on. So, not the most, but luckily, like I said, the figure itself, very aesthetically pleasing. If you look at the figure, they did a really nice job with the metallic finish for the armor. We have the gray that's shaded underneath. We have the gold mixed in there, pretty clean. It's not too bad. I like the details with the black and everything. And then the face. Let's look at the face. I am very happy with this. I like the way they painted the eyes. They almost have a glowing effect, even though they're kind of more like a platinum or a silver. And the face itself underneath, very nice tones. We have some stubble painted on there with some shading. The lips are painted, and it's all very clean because it's a separate piece from the rest of the head. So they were able to paint it and then glue it in place. And it looks really good. You can get a couple more looks at the detailed armor up close. I'm very, very pleased with the overall aesthetic. And you guys know Mafex is known for bad quality control, and the Batman wasn't too bad, couple minor issues. This one also not too bad, so let's go ahead and get into the articulation. For the head itself, we have a double ball peg on top of the neck, so you can move it around pretty well. You can lean it from side to side, it can look up a little bit, not the most, but not too bad. He can look up, he can definitely look down, so no problems really, I like that. The neck itself is on a ball peg, but it's very stiff. In fact, I had to pop the head off to rotate the neck around just so that it was lined up center. So be aware of that. It's very stiff, but it is ball pegged, so that shouldn't be a problem for you. We have this belt, which is soft. It won't get in the way, so that's fine. It looks nice, though. It adds nice contrast. We have a double ball peg for the torso. Well, it might be a single. I'm pretty sure it's a single. Actually, I lied. Single ball peg for the torso, but he moves around well enough. You're going to have to force it in some cases, but it moves a little bit, and really, you're going to have to move it in conjunction with the ball peg down here. So it doesn't have the best range on its own, but once you use them both, you can bend them over really well. And my phone keeps going off because I forgot to silence it. I apologize for that. You can lean them back really well also. So between the two, you have plenty of torso movement. The only problem with that is there's a significant gap between the torso and the crotch piece, but the floating belt does hide it. It just doesn't hide it that well because it doesn't fit over the bottom piece, the crotch piece, the butt piece. it's too wide. It has too much diameter, and so the belt just kind of sits on top. Luckily, you won't be looking at his back very much, so it's not a huge deal, but it is something to note. In terms of the arms, they have the same articulation as Batman and Superman, so we have a ball peg with a ball hinge that connects to this kind of shoulder cap, so you can move the entire arm around, which is okay. Here's the problem though, the shoulder pads are fixed to the torso. Definitely the worst way to do it. They look okay when the arms are down, and when you put them out to the side, it's not terrible, but when you bring the arms forward, it's not good. Anytime anybody connects shoulder pads to the torso, it bothers me because it's the worst way to do it. If the shoulder pad was connected right here, which would have been super easy for them to do, sorry, I made the camera lose focus. If it was connected right here, it would just rotate around with the arm and totally not get in the way ever and look good. It's disappointing. You can raise the arm up a little bit, not all the way, but probably far enough. You can bring it up this way, all the way, except for the shoulder pad getting in the way, so definitely disappointing. You can rotate this shoulder cap around, but you don't really need to because you do have a proper bicep swivel, which works really well. You have a double jointed elbow, which doesn't go too much better than 90 due to the bulk of the figure, but it looks really good, and it's fairly functional, so I like that. For the wrists, we have a ball hinge, which obviously isn't the best looking thing because it's pretty obviously there, but you do get pretty good range, and once it's posed, you won't notice that kind of pinch for the ball peg, so that's alright. For the hips, we do have the hinged ball pegs, so you can bring them down if you need to give yourself better range. Still doesn't get the best range, but definitely good enough, so I like that. Going forward, out to the side, even better, so that's really good, and then when you push them back up, they look pretty good. He's got slightly wide hips, but I think it's not so bad. It's definitely not terrible. It's probably better than any version of the Armored Batman that I've seen so far, although I haven't seen the Hot Toys in person. I think this looks really good, and the hips being slightly wide, it doesn't really bother me. You do get to rotate the thigh in there. Doesn't have the best range, but you can do it. You have double jointed knees, which work really well, and they don't look too bad. So I'm pretty happy with the knee joints. I like them. You get good range out of it. You shouldn't have too much trouble posing this guy, really. It's just going to take a little bit of effort to hide some of the gaps and stuff like that, but it's not too bad. But then we come down to the ankle, which the ankle itself isn't terrible, other than it's a very flat foot with a very obvious joint. But you get good range out of the ankle, so I could live with it. You can even rotate it around for an ankle rocker. No problems at all there, really, other than it's aesthetically a little iffy. But here's the biggest thing, other than the cape, that bothers me on this guy. The toe hinge is all the way in the middle of the foot. So the toe hinge goes all the way back there, which wouldn't be that big of a problem, except it's very floppy. So when you try to pose the figure, this part is so big it often ends up folding forward, and then he's very hard to balance, and you have to keep flattening the foot out. So that definitely, I don't know why they did that. Nobody's toes go that far back, not even close. So why they did that, I don't know. Obviously you can look past it because you can just keep his foot flat, or even what I might consider doing is just gluing it in place. So it's not great though, but everything else is kind of great. We have the issue with the shoulders, the issue with the toe, and then the issue with the cape. I know it sounds like a lot, but the rest of the figure kind of makes up for it. It looks really good in most cases. So I'm a little bit on the fence with this guy. I love it in some cases, and in other cases I don't like it at all. So I think the overall verdict is you should probably get it if you're thinking about it and see what you think. If the cape thing isn't a deal breaker for you, or if you're willing to change out the cape, then I would definitely say get it. The cape could be a deal breaker for some people though. That light gray on the inside denim look just is not good. But the body itself is pretty good looking. I really like it. But I'm also a little bit biased toward the suit because it's generally aesthetically pleasing, so that's kind of drawing me back in every time I don't like something. So use the information I've given you, draw your own judgments, make your own conclusions, and get the figure if you want to, but now you know what you need to know in order to make an informed decision. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, video games, movies, TV shows, all kinds of fun stuff, so come back for that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.